Satan, in his speech in Milton's Paradise Lost, says, "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven." Nice line to begin with, isn't it? You know, when I started to write this speech, I took enormous pressure on myself about captivating each and every one of you sitting here. I drifted from my basic purpose of invoking my audience to think on a different level. Can you imagine how susceptible our mind is to petty distractions? My mind was tormenting me. I felt like a perpetrator. I'm sure we all have had such exasperating instances where we get all worked up over a minor conundrum. For a minute, I paused the rushing flow of thoughts. I decided to calm myself down and contemplate. I realized that I don't need to pander to my mind. I could actually mine the mind. This reminds me of one preposterous incident which will demonstrate to you one facet of the nature of the human mind. So, we all love mathematics, don't we? I still remember the day I hit rock bottom scores in mathematics. I remember how my mind chided me saying, "Once a loser, always a loser. Loser, loser," screamed my mind, and my fate was sealed. In the months to come, my mind became a Frankenstein. Every time I tried to do a sum, I had the heebie-jeebies. I now decided to distract myself by thinking about the boat ride I went on my previous vacation. The thought of the breeze calmed me. For a minute, I was able to look at the Frankenstein of my mind. Suddenly, a bulb glowed in my head, and I was curiously aware that I was not my mind. In fact, it was a separate entity. I realized that with my mind being a different being, it could not control the real me. I now thought of the boat. At the back of the boat, I could see a huge wave that blazed like a serpent's tail. And when I dashed to the front of the boat and the wave at the back was missing, a mammoth sense of liberation filled me. The mind could be Hitler for all I cared. Yet I was the boss, and the past was behind me like the wave. What would drive my life forward would be my own determination. "Mathematics, here I come," I exclaimed with excitement. So friends, we usually get caught up in the web of past failures. If we can shake our minds to come out of the past and embrace the future, don't you think it could make all the difference? I mean, it's not just about the past. There are so many demons in the present that plague our mind. One such is superstitions. I'm sure we all have a lucky number, lucky color. You, sir, may be having a lucky t-shirt. I developed such a fetish for a yellow watch that I felt almost wedded to it. It was as if my entire destiny was tied to it. I always thought that if I wear this watch to my exam, it will act as a boon. Well, interestingly, the conjecture did hold true, but was it the watch possessing the charm? No. It were my positive thoughts towards my exam which originated merely because of a watch. My mind had hypnotized me day in and day out about its gilded charm, and bereft of it, I felt like a lost child, which naturally resulted in a poor performance. I started correlating my performance to the presence of a yellow watch. So, what's the common name for these correlations? We all know them as superstitions. And the story doesn't end here. Even our idols are susceptible to these traps our minds stitch. Pele once gave his lucky match shirt to a fan, and he suffered a considerable dip in his form. He immediately instructed his friend to track down the old shirt. A week later, the shirt was returned. And with the shirt came back his form, but there's a devilish twist to this tale. Pele's shirt detective just handed him the same shirt he had worn in the previous match. Therefore, all this while, it were his thoughts that governed his performance. What's the conclusion? Thoughts over matter. Always thoughts over matter. Talking of thoughts, there is one other kind of thoughts that many a times wallops us. Self-pity. Has it ever happened to you that you have immense workload and you wrapped yourself in self-pity? By doing this, did you get an excuse to not work? Well, it's happened to me several times. Our mind is a sympathy seeker. It shrinks away from a challenge, a confrontation, or even a responsibility. Yes, guys, our mind is a coward. My mind wrapped itself in self-pity to escape the challenge of giving the math exam out of fear of failure. I am sure you all would agree that my mind was being a coward to not accept the truth behind the false charm of the yellow watch. We need to teach our minds to not be a sympathy seeker. We need to teach our mind to not hide. We need to teach our mind to stand and face the challenge. And look, I just gave you one more remedy to make your life much less complicated. Talking of complications, they have been confounded by social media these days. Every negative tweet, Instagram picture, message whips our mind into a frenzy. We have been wooed, pampered, and hoodwinked by our own mind. So, is there a solution around? Of late, I've started to see my mind as a separate entity from myself. If I'm sad, I start telling myself, that's my mind saying so, not me. I have also realized that whether I have a happy mind or an unhappy mind, it's my doing. I have pumped thoughts, past patterns, societal influences, and perhaps made it so. Still, it's my mind. I can proactively choose to change the flow of thoughts. As we come to the end of our talk, I would like to bring forth a rather fascinating postulation. So, most of us sitting here have a grudge with waking up on time. We just don't tend to wake up before the alarm snoozes 3 to 4 times. What's interesting is, on a birthday, we are up and about before the alarm even rings. What's the most plausible reason behind this? Have you ever pondered? I think it's because we look forward to the day. We look forward to the excitement the day brings, and we don't want to miss even a minute of it. So by doing this, don't you think we are already inadvertently training our mind to act in our favor? But the real question is, how are we doing this? By feeding it with positivity. I call this the theory of optimism. And if the theory of optimism can be extended to each and every aspect of our life, don't you think we could actually learn to mind the mind? I will leave you with that thought. Thank you.